Have you ever wanted to do something completely ridiculous in BeamNG Drive without opening a dozen different menus? That's exactly what this new radial cheat menu lets you do. At first glance, it looks like a simple wheel menu with a few shortcuts, but there's way more hidden inside than you'd expect. From spawning crazy scenarios to changing how vehicles behave and unlocking features you didn't know existed, this mod completely changes how you play. And since a lot of the options aren't obvious at first, I'll show you everything it can do, including some hidden features you don't want to miss. So let's open the menu for the first time. We press E, go to Vehicle Actions, and select Cheat Menu. Right away you can see a ton of options, which is exactly why we're going through them step by step. The first feature is Infinite Fuel. Once enabled, your vehicle never runs out of fuel. I don't use this one much since I rarely empty a whole tank, but for cars with small tanks or long drives, it's useful. Next is Infinite N2O, one of my favorites. If you drive drag cars or modified vehicles with nitrous, you know how fast it runs out. With this enabled, your nitrous stays at 100% permanently, so you can keep boosting as long as you want. Then we have Infinite JADO and JADO Power. For this, you need a vehicle with a rocket engine, like this Pagani. Normally, JADO vehicles run out of fuel almost instantly, but with Infinite JADO, that's gone completely. And if that's not crazy enough, you can crank the JADO Power multiplier. By default, it's 1, but you can push it to 100,000. Let's try 50 times. Yeah, that instantly destroys the car. Let's drop to 10 times instead. Still insane. The same works on bigger vehicles, like this truck with dual rocket engines. Normally it's slow, but with more JADO power, it turns into a monster. Although controlling it is a completely different story. Next up is engine power. Just like JADO power, we can multiply the output up to 100,000 times. Let's use this Audi RS7. It already makes around 500 horsepower, so it's not slow. But let's skip the reasonable values and go straight to 100,000. And yeah, engine broken. Let's be a bit more sensible. I picked the RS7 because this works especially well on powerful cars. Let's set it to 7 times normal. Right away, the horsepower number in the top right multiplies accordingly. Now let's start it up. It revs much faster than before, which makes sense. And as soon as we put the power down, something just exploded. The car isn't built to handle this, so under full throttle parts start braking almost immediately. But you get the idea. We can take almost any vehicle and completely change how it behaves. For example, this amphibious vehicle. What always annoys me about it is how slow it is. It tops out around 30 kilometers per hour. Let's add 5 times the power. Acceleration is much quicker now. It doesn't raise the top speed, but getting there is a lot faster. Let's push it to 20 times. Now we're getting clutch temperature warnings and things are smoking. That's probably enough. But experimenting like this is exactly what makes this menu so fun. Next up is the RPM limit multiplier. Let's take this R8 and bump the limiter to 5 times normal. The engine brakes before we can even start. Maybe that's too much. Let's switch to a vanilla Chevette Scintilla and try 2 times. Nope, still too much. Most engines really don't like high RPM limits. Let's drop it to 1.3. There we go. Now it starts normally, and nothing changes except the rev limiter. We can rev much higher than usual, but eventually we're just destroying the engine. So realistically, this only helps with an indestructible engine setup. Now let's move on to gear ratio. By default it's 1, but you can set it from 0.1 to 1000. Quick explanation. It controls how the engine transfers power to the wheels. Increase it for stronger acceleration but a lower top speed. Lower it to trade acceleration for a much higher top speed. Let's try 0.7. It accelerates more slowly, but now we're hitting crazy speeds in a single gear. Already over 200 kilometers per hour in first, barely touching 5,000 RPM. With all gears, we could probably pass 1,000. The engine just doesn't have the power. A fun way to fine-tune cars, though for precise adjustments, I'd still tune the car itself. Now something very cool, tire grip. This used to be a separate mod, but now it's built right in. Push the grip too high and the car eventually explodes. I'm not joking. But at 5 times grip, it still works, and the car sticks to the road like glue. We can take corners at ridiculous speeds, and instead of sliding, it's more likely to roll over. Drifting becomes almost impossible. There's just too much traction. We can also go the other way and reduce grip, making every surface feel like ice. Especially fun on snow maps, where you can pull off massive drifts, endless burnouts, and spin the tires in 7th gear. Quick favor before we continue. If you're enjoying this, drop a like and let me know in the comments which feature is the craziest to you. Next is brake strength. We can reduce the braking force or crank it up to 100,000 times. Let's set 10 times. As soon as we tap the brakes, the car slows incredibly fast. The only reason it works is the ABS constantly fighting to keep the wheels from locking. You can feel it struggling to stay in control. Not smooth, but fun. After that comes air drag and wind, which adjusts how much air resistance acts on the vehicle. We can drop it to 0 or push it to 50 times normal. At 0, the car cuts through the air effortlessly and gains speed easily. At 50 times, you immediately feel the engine struggling to hold its speed. Another one that's surprisingly fun to mess with. Next is gravity. You know this from the regular settings, but here we can change it faster and even go negative. Below 0, the car floats. Crank it to extreme values and things get interesting fast. As soon as we unpause, the car slams into the ground with insane force. Everything breaks. It doesn't even look like a car anymore. But combining gravity with tire grip is interesting. More gravity plus more grip basically turns any vehicle into a race car with ridiculous cornering. There's also a body weight option, but it always says, "Body not found" for me. If you get it working, let me know in the comments. Simulation speed is self-explanatory. It speeds up or slows down the whole game. Perfect for slow motion crashes or cinematic shots. One of my favorites is suspension height. We can drop it or raise it up to 50 times. Let's lift this wagon 3 times. The whole car immediately falls apart since it was never built for that. Still fun. You could take a Lamborghini Sterrato and lift it even higher for ridiculous off-road builds. Another fun one is wheel size. We can shrink the wheels to tiny 6-inch rims or blow them up to 100 inches. Let's go for the max, and there we have it. Absolutely massive wheels. At some point, the axles break and the physics get unstable, but smaller adjustments work surprisingly well. There's also wheel width. Wider tires improve grip. Narrow ones make the car much harder to control. Just don't overdo it because the tires pop pretty quickly. And speaking of overdoing it, the next feature takes things to another level. Scale multiplier, which changes the size of the entire vehicle. Be careful, because if you make it too big, it can become almost as large as the map itself. Let's try 10 times. Oh my god, this thing is huge. And the funny part is, it still kind of works. The steering wheel didn't scale properly, but the car itself is gigantic. You could come up with some hilarious experiments here. Once you're done braking everything, there's a reset all button that returns every setting to normal. There are also career mode cheats, which I'm not covering today, but they're there if you play career mode. And finally, some extra visual features. Dynamic rain, dynamic snow, info overlays, better shadow quality, and even a rainbow mode that constantly changes your car's color. Exactly the kind of random feature you'd expect from a cheat menu. And a lot of fun. The remaining features are more straightforward but still interesting. First, drivetrain locking. Above that is a regeneration option. Though there's a warning it can cause game crashes, so be careful. Another option multiplies the overall strength of the vehicle, making it far more resistant to crash damage. Parts don't break as easily, and you feel the difference immediately once you start hitting walls. There's also durable tires, so even after heavy impacts, they're much less likely to pop or deform. Then there's God mode for the engine and transmission, combined with anti-overheat. And finally, one of the most interesting features, drive underwater. This literally lets your vehicle keep running underwater without stalling. Let's try it. We're falling into the water, and there we go. Normally the engine would instantly die, but now it keeps running. It's tricky to control near the edge, but the vehicle is clearly still functional, even underwater. So yes, driving underwater is genuinely possible here. which is pretty insane when you think about it. And that's pretty much it for this radial cheat menu. If you want the download links and setup guide, they're in the description. And if you enjoyed this one, subscribe so you don't miss the next mod. I'll catch you in the next video.